Welcome back to Pingyao Ancient City. If you watched our first tour, you'll already know that this remarkable city is one of China's best preserved ancient settlements, with a history stretching back more than 2,700 years. Today, we're exploring 3 of its most significant landmarks, each representing a different pillar of Imperial China. First, we'll climb the mighty city walls that protected Pingyao for centuries. Then we'll step inside the county government office, where justice was administered in the name of the emperor. Finally, we'll visit Rishengchang Piaohao, the birthplace of China's modern banking system. Together, these 3 locations tell the story of how Pingyao became one of the most influential cities in Imperial China. Our day begins at one of Pingyao's defining features, the magnificent city walls. Standing around 12 meters high and stretching just over 6 kilometers in length, these walls completely surround the old city, forming one of the finest surviving examples of Ming Dynasty military architecture anywhere in China. Although defensive walls existed here much earlier, the impressive structure we see today was largely rebuilt during the Ming Dynasty in 1370. Shortly after the founding of the dynasty itself. As we climb the stone steps to the top, it's easy to imagine soldiers making the same ascent more than 600 years ago. From up here, the scale of the city becomes immediately apparent. Unlike many historic cities that have expanded beyond recognition, Pingyao's ancient street plan has changed remarkably little. The grey, tiled rooftops stretch away in every direction, while narrow streets form an orderly grid below us. The wall itself was much more than a simple barrier. It featured 72 watchtowers and over 3,000 crenellations, features that some historians believe symbolized the legendary 72 disciples and 3,000 students of Confucius. Whether intentional or not, these numbers became closely associated with the city's identity. The walls were designed for defense, but also for communication. Watchmen could spot approaching armies from many kilometers away, while signal fires and flags quickly relayed warnings around the city. Looking outward from the battlements, it's easy to understand why this elevated position was so important. Any approaching force would have been visible long before reaching the gates. The city originally had 6 main gates, each carefully positioned according to traditional Chinese planning principles. Traffic, trade, and travelers all passed through these heavily defended entrances. Today, instead of soldiers and merchants arriving by horseback, visitors stroll peacefully below, but the atmosphere of the old city remains remarkably authentic. Walking along the wall offers one of the very best perspectives of Pingyao, allowing us to appreciate just how completely this ancient city has survived into the modern age. Few places anywhere in the world preserve an entire walled city quite like this. Leaving the city walls behind, we now enter another centre of authority, the county government office. Known as the Yamen, this complex served as the administrative headquarters of Pingyao County for more than 6 centuries. During Imperial China, the county magistrate was one of the most powerful officials ordinary people would ever encounter. Representing the emperor himself, he acted as judge, tax collector, administrator, and government representative, all rolled into one. His responsibilities covered almost every aspect of daily life: disputes between neighbours, criminal investigations, collection of taxes, maintenance of public works, even organising disaster relief during floods or famine. For most people, this building represented the face of imperial government. The architecture reflects its importance. Visitors progressed through a series of increasingly formal courtyards, each reinforcing the authority of the magistrate. The deeper you travelled into the complex, the closer you came to the centre of power. One of the highlights during our visit is a live reenactment of an imperial court trial. These performances recreate the dramatic judicial process that would once have taken place here. The magistrate sits in judgment, officials stand at attention, and defendants are brought before the court to answer accusations. Although performed today for visitors, the ceremony closely follows historical traditions. Trials in Imperial China differed considerably from modern legal systems. The magistrate questioned witnesses personally, examined evidence, and delivered judgment, often on the same day. Punishments could range from fines and public humiliation to imprisonment or corporal punishment, depending on the seriousness of the offence. Maintaining social order was considered one of the magistrate's highest responsibilities. The proceedings were deliberately theatrical. Large ceremonial staffs, official robes, drums, and shouted commands reinforced the authority of the court. Everything was designed to remind those present that the magistrate spoke with the authority of the emperor himself. Watching this reconstruction provides a fascinating glimpse into how justice was administered hundreds of years ago. While modern audiences may find some of the methods harsh, they reflect the legal traditions and values of Imperial China during that period. As we explore the surrounding buildings, it's clear that this was much more than simply a courtroom. The magistrate also lived and worked here, making it both a government office and a family residence. Administrative offices, meeting halls, kitchens, gardens, and private living quarters all formed part of this remarkably self-contained complex. Our final destination may not appear especially grand from the outside, but historically it changed China forever. Welcome to Rishengchang Piaohao. Founded in 1823 during the Qing Dynasty, Rishengchang is widely recognized as China's first draft bank. At first glance, that description might not sound revolutionary, but in the early 19th century, it transformed commerce across one of the world's largest empires. Before banks like this existed, merchants transporting silver across China faced enormous risks. Large quantities of silver were heavy, difficult to transport, and highly attractive to thieves. Travelling hundreds or even thousands of kilometres carrying wealth was dangerous. Rishengchang introduced a remarkably simple solution. Instead of physically transporting silver, merchants could deposit money in Pingyao and receive a paper draft. That draft could then be redeemed safely in another city. In many ways, it worked surprisingly like modern banking. The system dramatically reduced the risks of long-distance trade and helped connect China's regional economies. Business flourished. From this relatively modest courtyard, Rishengchang expanded into a nationwide financial network. Branches eventually stretched across much of China and even reached overseas trading centers. For decades, Pingyao became the financial capital of Qing China. Walking through the restored offices today, we see counting rooms, reception areas, secure vaults and private courtyards where merchants negotiated business. Every detail reflects the discipline and trust required for financial transactions. Employees underwent extensive training. Accuracy was essential. A single mistake involving large sums of money could have serious consequences. Security was equally important. Thick walls, reinforced doors, and carefully controlled access helped protect valuable documents and deposits. The bank's success inspired many competitors. Soon, Pingyao became home to numerous draft banks, creating one of China's earliest financial centers. The city's prosperity during the 19th century owed much to these innovative institutions. Although foreign-style commercial banks gradually replaced the old draft banking system during the early 20th century, Rishengchang's influence continued long afterwards. Many historians regard it as laying important foundations for the development of modern Chinese finance. Today, its preserved buildings allow visitors to step inside an industry that once helped shape the nation's economy. It's remarkable to think that innovations developed within these quiet courtyards helped merchants conduct business across thousands of kilometers long before electronic banking, credit cards, or even telephones existed. As our second day in Pingyao comes to an end, we've explored three very different sides of this extraordinary city. The city walls remind us of its military strength. The county government office reveals how imperial authority and justice were exercised. And Rishengchang shows how commerce and financial innovation made Pingyao one of China's most prosperous cities. Together, they demonstrate why this ancient city remains one of the most important historical destinations in China. Thank you for joining me on today's journey through Pingyao Ancient City. If you've enjoyed exploring these remarkable sites, don't forget to like the video. Subscribe for more historic travel adventures from China and around the world, and I'll see you in the next one.